Welcome to this episode of The Nurturer. I've got the privilege of talking with Sandra Golding, who's an African holistic dance practitioner and teacher, someone who's spreading a message of a really amazing dance practice, which is healing and transformational and empowering. So I'd like to welcome you, Sandra. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to speak to you today.
Hi Monica. African holistic dance. African holistic dance is a movement practice that has evolved and is still evolving. And it's based around empowerment, connection to the spirit, and also transformation. How African holistic dance came about? It came about really from when I got involved in African dance. And has someone been born here in the UK and not necessarily having access to culture within the education system, only having access to reggae music that my parents would have got sent over from the Caribbean. Growing up, we didn't have that much of a connection with our culture. And I believe since about 13 years of age, I've had a calling where I've had that interest of what it is to be black, what it is to be proud, and finding things to empower myself as a young African woman, and child growing up. I got involved in African dance, which I found very, very empowering. I was about 18 years of age, and I just heard drums, and I went and I really got connected. And then that kind of gave me a thirst of wanting to know more, having to read more, and see more depth of what the culture, where we came from. Connecting with Egypt, connecting with the whole of Africa. Fast forward, I trained classically and contemporary, but then the still connection wasn't there for me because I wasn't necessarily dancing my own culture or my identity. And I reverted back to then specialising in African and Caribbean dance and wanting to do a movement practice that celebrated my identity. I went on to do a master's in dance, after a while. And I had been teaching a class which was African healing dance, and I just thought, well, I have to do something. I had all these women come in. They felt really good. They felt really empowered after they left the class. And then I decided, as part of my dissertation, to really analyse and look at my class even further. And hence, the original name was Uncle Mahat Moving to Balance. So it had the Ankh, we had the balance. So it was life moving to balance. And literally, it's just been evolving over the years to the point where I can now look at it being defined in 3 specific areas. That of empowerment. I like to look at the sections in that of standing in your cultural ground. And then look into the next phase would be that of connection with the spirit. The connection with the spirit also involves the use of symbolism, but the symbolism is also used with the empowerment, so you're aware of your energy around your body, looking at the symbols that our body and the shapes that it creates, and how then those symbols can then be transformed and moved into the body. And in a sense, being, after a while, you're actually embodying the symbolism within that body and the energy. We then move on to the Ankh, because the Ankh then is the key of life. Ankh is also that of the balance of the female and the male energies. it also looks at what goes on above and below in terms of then, seeing how we also involve the hermetic principles within the movement practice as well. And the whole thing of connecting with the spirit, connecting with the heart, connecting with the fluid, the water within our body, because without the fluid we cannot exist. The heart pumps the fluid around the body. We also cannot exist without the breath. So connecting with those two energies, as well as also connecting with the earth and the heavens, that can bring about a transformation within the body, whereby towards the end of sessions we start looking at the whole, looking at the transformations of the cells going back to its original state and bringing about a sense of healing and comfort within the individual.
So you've got there, you were talking about empowerment, symbolism, transformation.
Yeah.
There's key aspects from the African holistic dance that is specific to that form. So how does it, who would be drawn to this practice? Who would get the most benefit from it?
People who are looking, fundamentally. People who aren't afraid, or people who are ready, people who are awakening, and they're ready to look at making a change within their life. I mean, people can go out and see motivational speakers, and they can get a lot from motivational speakers about transformation. But sometimes when one has to physically begin to look internally within yourself and being able to transform that into movement, then that's another area which some people find quite frightening, or scared, or they may not be ready to confront and deal with the issues in that way. It's also a form of therapy as well. So people do well in talking therapy, but some people may not want to talk. They may not be ready to speak about what issues, but then they'd be more inclined to be able to express that through movement. The one thing which is beautiful about the classes is that we create a safe space whereby people are not judged. People who attend, they can feel very relaxed, whereby they're able to physically express themselves and eventually be able to talk about those feelings and those emotions and those issues, what may be coming up. People sometimes get stuck in a particular motif, and then they may, on the colour dance as I put it, they may then be able to start looking and exploring that motif and where it's actually coming from. And being able to have a sense of release as well. So each week it's different, because we're very complex human beings. We've gone through a lot of, like say, trials and tribulations. We've had a lot of issues that we need to maybe clear up and let go and put to bed. So in one thing within the transformation process, you still have that thing of letting go. And once it's gone, then you've created that space to be able to think more clearly and start reflecting on, what do we do next? So each week, the classes, we can go through the same process, but then it will be different for each individual.
Yes. Well, I've experienced that for myself, just being in that safe group space, being able to move through the body, and it does feel different every week, even though many of the practices are the same. It's almost like you're going into different layers.
Yeah.
The more you practice, you gain something else.
And the practice is also not just for people from African and Caribbean heritage.
I wanted to ask you that.
it's for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm using that ankh as well, it's the knowledge is out there for everyone. It's how you use it. You know, we can use it positively, but it's up to the individual if they're really ready to let go. And if they want to go so far, that's fine, because everybody takes their own time to be able to digest. You know, they've come up with an issue. Do I confront it? Don't I? And then in their own time, they're able to move on. And a lot of the times I've seen people, even like yourself, evolve and grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, people come, they go. You know, they've gone, they've grown, they've done what they needed to do, and somehow or another, you know, people have found their way back because they've gone and done other classes, maybe just physically. But even with the other dance practice that are out there seems to be something missing for them, and then they come back, and they move on.
And do you have to have any dance experience at all to come to classes?
No, you don't have to have any dance experience. I mean, some people who have got dance experience, they've got more of an understanding of how their body moves.
Yeah.
But the one thing, being a trained dancer, and not just in African and Caribbean dance, but also being classically trained and working creatively as well. You know, because of the gift that the Creator has given me, I'm able to guide individuals to have an understanding of where their bodies is, you know, being able to get them to a point where they can feel where they need to be, where they can feel the maximum of the energy. And once they've been able to achieve that feeling once, then they've felt it, and they know that, yes, I need to get back to that feeling. So they're returning to it where they're actually in the zone. So sometimes it takes a while for it to happen, but as far as I'm concerned, I always see everybody achieves it at some point in time.
I agree. So if people, having watched this video, are interested in experiencing African holistic dance, how can they contact you? Well,
they can get in contact with me I'm on my Facebook page at the moment, under Sandra Golding. And if you inbox me, then I can inform you of where the classes are taking place. I'm currently looking at doing a 6-week program in May 2014, and be offering a free session, one of 2 sessions in April.
Great.
And then people can actually book up for the course in May.
Great.
And hopefully later on in the year we can have a 1-day retreat, or 1 day where we can work more intensively on the dance in a nice, safe, supportive space.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to that. Sandra, I just wanted to say thank you very much for sharing with me this evening, and I look forward to seeing how African holistic dance grows and progresses over the years. I know it's a very special practice, and it can really be a space for transformation and healing. And I've done a lot of dance practices, not all of them do that. So I would say to anybody who's thinking, let me try a dance practice to move through the body rather than overthinking, to really try African holistic dance with Sandra, because it's a real gift.
And thank you, because it's time now that this practice evolves, not just nationally, but also internationally.
I agree.
Because a lot of the times practices are developed and they evolve from the United States, but then there's also an experience that we have here in Europe.
Yeah, European diaspora, definitely.
So that also is something that I'm looking now. It's time for it to be shared worldwide, European and all over.
Okay, great, fantastic. That's a seed that's planted. Let's
Yes.
see it.
It will do.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you very much.